My earliest memories as a child don't start until about 9 years old. And those memories are violence of my dad. And not just me, but Dad was a very violent man with my siblings. I had a lovely mother. She died 3 years ago of cancer. But my mum's upbringing was horrendous. I'm amazed that she survived and lived to the age that she did with the terrible things that happened to her as a child. My dad was a violent alcoholic, and Dad would often come home from work already full of booze. And in those days you had these two big, it's like a half-gallon glass jug of beer. And Dad would never go to bed until he had finished what he had brought home. So when he'd fallen asleep in his chair, I would start taking a glass here, a glass there, and really loving it. Because I noticed when Dad woke up, he had less alcohol to drink, because I had taken it, and he'll go to bed early. When I was 11 years old, I got sexually abused by a family relative. I knew what he was doing was wrong. But at the same time, I did not know how to say no to him. And I believed the sexual abuse he did to me enabled me to be sexually abused by other men when I was young. And it became like a normal part of my life. I think I had already numbed out many years earlier, but it was just another abuse on someone who had already experienced abuse. When I was a teenager, I developed by then a real deep love for alcohol. And so I started trading different things with guys to get the alcohol. Having been sexually abused as a child, I guess I already felt like rubbish. And so I guess it was pretty easy for me to, exchange sex for alcohol, because I knew alcohol was my reward. Alcohol was going to take the pain away if I had any pain left in my heart. When I left school, I had some really good jobs, including the Reserve Bank. But my love for alcohol escalated. And by the time I was 25, it was recommended I go into rehab. Little did I know then that was going to be the first time of many times of trying to get clean. By the time I got into my 30s, my alcoholism had started to escalate, but so did my desire for a child. I had already tried for many years to try and have a child with different men. I didn't care who the father was. One particular Tuesday night, it was 1994, I found out I wasn't pregnant again. And something just snapped inside of me. I can't explain it, but I thought I may as well just be getting paid for sex. That same night, I went up to K Road, which is our red light district, and sat in K Road, and a guy from Scotland turned up in his van, and I didn't know what to charge in those days, and I charged him $60, and thinking that was a lot of money for 20 minutes work. A lot of the clients were good men, but there were some very nasty ones as well. I ended up having a lot of violence against me. I was raped, I was robbed, scared many, many times. Each client I had, I didn't know what to expect if he was a new one. Sorry, went on. Yeah, it's a world I would wish on nobody. It's harsh, it's brutal, and many are left scarred for life. because of the things they see. During my time on the street, I had gotten to know a pastor from the Baptist Tabernacle called Marjorie. One evening she was passing me when I was prostituting. She told me she cried for me. And I'll never forget feeling overwhelmed that someone would cry for me. In December 1999, I could see Marjorie's face in my head, and she was crying. And I knew I had to talk to her. I crossed the road to the phone box, and I found Reverend Marjorie Gibson. I hopped on a bus, turned up at her suburb, and turned up on her doorstep. And I said, Marjorie, can I borrow 5 minutes of your time? And that 5 minutes turned into 2 hours. I told Marjorie things I had never told my best friends. And she listened. She prayed for me that night. The next night was a Wednesday, which was one of my main nights of prostituting. And I had no desire to go out, which was really strange because Wednesday was a really busy night. And I've never prostituted since that night. I knew God was working in my life. I didn't become a Christian that night, but I knew that God had touched my life. Marjorie told me about the Alpha course at my church, the Baptist Tabernacle, which I did and became a Christian after the Alpha course. And not long after that, I went to Bible college for 3 years. For the first few years of my Christian walk, there were still hidden issues in my heart that I had never dealt with. I turned to alcohol again. One of the bravest things I ever did was to seek help, to tell someone what was really going on inside. I think it's very brave, and it takes courage to seek help. I've said to people, hey, can you pray with me? I want to share this with you, because it's okay to seek help. There was a young woman from my church who was on my heart, and I called her. I said, are you okay? And she came around to my place, and she poured her heart out to me. She cried on my lap. From that night, she has called me Mum. It felt like every Christmas present, every birthday present, every best feeling rolled into one. I was a mum, and I didn't have to go through labour. Bravery for me is facing everything and recovering. We have a saying in AA meetings, fear, F-E-A-R, face everything and recover. In many ways, the old lifestyle was easy. I didn't have to face up to my fears. I just drowned them in alcohol. But facing up to my fears, dealing with all the shame, because I've dealt with it, has given me a better way forward.